All right, so let's do this. So, welcome to Manifestation Magic. Before we begin today, I just want to say something from my heart. When I share stories of what I've manifested in my own life, I'm not sharing to brag. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to awaken you. I share because I want you to see what's possible for you when you tap into your own creative power. So, nothing I teach here is magic, but I'm going to tell you, it certainly feels very magical when the universe starts responding to the ideas that you hold. The stories I'm going to share with you today are literally making the impossible possible. It feels magical when the universe starts responding to the ideas that you hold, the beliefs that are you strengthen and the energy that you choose. And it will, because this is how the universe works. So my goal today isn't to convince you that I'm special. It's to remind you that you are. That's the key today. And when you learn to work with these universal principles, you're going to experience synchronicities, opportunities, and outcomes that genuinely take your breath away. So, with that, let's begin. So, I'm going to tell you a few stories. Hopefully, we can get through as many of these as we can. As I started to think about how I wanted to approach this with you today, I thought, okay, well, what would be the right format? So, first, obviously, there's the story of me growing my business by 350%, which alone is the biggest miraculous one of all that started all of this craziness. And we talk about that one every week. So we're not talking about that today. We are going to talk about how I manifested money to give it away. We're going to talk about how I manifested growth, but not in the way that I thought. So I was calling in growth, and the universe answered me in a different way. We're going to talk about one manifestation story that has never worked out for me. And I know exactly why. And it's a recent, like, aha moment that I had as to why. But I think that could be equally compelling to understand when it didn't work out as much as share the fun stories when it did work out. I want to share a quick story about manifesting help. It's not just about money, manifesting help when we need help. And then one on manifesting advice, which is kind of like help, but it's a little bit of a different story. And that one comes with the addition of a free hot tub. So, and then I have two stories that literally just happened because my power has been, my ability to magnetize life to me has been amplified since I've been interacting with all of you. I have so much gratitude. Teaching literally is the very best way to learn something and to live something, because I'm constantly trying to figure out how to say it to you so you get it. And I'd say the last 6 months of my life have been nothing short of absolutely miraculous. So, if we have time, I'm going to close with the last two stories about manifesting money to fix my son's car, and then turning that car in and literally manifesting a brand new Mercedes for my other son, which he's pretty excited about and told me I should keep doing the manifestation. Okay, so let's start with how I manifested money to give it away. This story might require the biggest setup, so I'm going to get it out of the way first. So, this story goes back to the fall of 2019. It was a busy summer for me personally, and I was a little bit off my business. So, come September, I was hoping things would pick up, and it didn't pick up. So, it was October 4th when I set a goal, and I said to God, I want to manifest $300,000 in the next 30 days. Now, this is not reality for Kim Daly. Okay. That's more like an entire quarter. Okay. If you're doing $1 million a year or $1 million a half, it's, maybe half of that. But this is not reality, especially back in 2019. But I was like, $300,000 sounds like a good amount of money. And if I do it, I'm going to give it all away. So that was my pledge to God, and that's what I wanted. Now, I got to tell you a little backstory. So, a couple of years before that, I had a Brazilian nanny. I did not bring her to the country. She was here, and she had this crappy car. She was picking up my kids from school and driving them around to all their things. And so I went out and I bought her a brand new car. It wasn't brand new, it was brand new to her. I'd say it was like maybe $13,000 car. So like nothing like crazy. But for this woman, this was like the biggest gift of generosity that anybody had ever shown her. She literally sat in my driveway and bawled her eyes out, which made me bawl my eyes out, right? She was just like, I can't take this. I'm like, yes, you can. You're going to be driving my children and I want you to have a safer car, right? So just take it as a gift. So when she pulled out of my driveway with tears in her eyes and tears in my eyes, I sat there and I thought, well, geez, if it feels this good to give somebody a car, what would it feel like to give somebody a house? And in my mind, I was thinking, how could I buy her a home? But as you start thinking about it, you're like, there's no way you can buy someone a home. I thought of that home extreme, TV show, Extreme Home Makeover, where they fix up this house, but then you hear like the after stories where the people couldn't afford the taxes or they can't afford the maintenance and the upkeep, and it's all a waste. So like logically, I couldn't ever see a way to do it. It was sort of like that's on my bucket list, but like I don't see that really ever happening. Okay, so fast forward to October 4th of 2019. And I set this epic goal because my business is in a dead slump. I have like nobody in my pipeline, nothing coming, and I need to create some massive momentum. So I committed myself to my prospecting plan. That's the logical thing that I know to do, what I've already shared with you from our last class. And I got busy. Well, by the end of the month, by Halloween, I had manifested all of the deals, like literally out of thin air. And if you're here because you've invested in a franchise through me, you know that 4 weeks is a little aggressive of a time frame for anybody to buy a franchise. I don't know how I attracted all the people who were moving, people that were dead in my pipeline came back to life, all the things happened, and I literally had enough activity in my pipeline by Halloween to know that I had manifested the $300,000. Now, that was whatever day of the week it was, October 4th, 2019. Well, that weekend when I went to church, the pastor of our church said, we have outgrown our clothing closet and our soup kitchen. And he was being sarcastic. He's like, would anybody like to be the prime donor, the only donor, to help us build an addition? I was sitting in the pew and I was like, yes, yes. I knew instantly this was why I decided to manifest $300,000. And this was how I was going to help somebody buy a house, but not one somebody, all the somebodies in my community who needed a place to eat, a hot meal, and clothes. With that, like renewed inspiration, once I went to church, I was like, this is a done deal. I said to the pastor, what are you looking to raise? He said like 500,000. And I said, okay, what if I give you 300,000? He goes, how about this? You give me 250 and I'll find there's like a couple billionaire families. I love being compared to billionaire families. He's like, I'll get one of them to match your 250. I said, done deal. I'll give you the money as soon as I have it. And on Christmas Eve of that year, my sons handed the pastor of our church a check for $250,000. And that check went to build a clothing closet, an addition onto our clothing closet and our soup kitchen that God helped me achieve this amazing bucket list goal of like, how would I ever do that in my logical mind? And I was just thinking about building a home for one somebody, but this is how God always supersedes our vision. So there's a picture of my sons handing the check to the pastor of our church on Christmas Eve under manifestation stories on the zsuite.com if you want to see that picture. So that's just one amazing, amazing story that I literally do not share that to brag. I did not do that to share the story, but the story is just too good to like hold into myself. I have shared it with my consultant friends at FranChoice because I want to inspire you to give your money away. You can never outgive God, ever. Kim Daly can prove this to you over and over and over. That's the only story I'm going to share today about giving to God, but I'm telling you, you can never outgive. So, the fastest way to make any amount of money that you ever want to make is to go make a really large donation and don't ever look back. Don't regret it. Write the check with a huge smile on your face and gratitude that makes you feel so blessed to be able to help other people. That will change your life in more ways than one. Okay, so that's story number one. So let's talk about a different thing. Let's talk about when I was calling in growth, which this was in 2017, 2018. And I was expecting it to come through my business. And this will tie into the next story where the manifestation didn't happen. So I was ready to grow. So I had taken the $1 million year, I had turned it into $1 million half, done that 2 times a year. I don't know if, I hadn't yet produced $1 million in a quarter, but here's what also happened from 2019 going into the first quarter of 2020. So the momentum that I created by generating that $300,000 in the October of 2019 set me up for the largest first quarter I've ever had. $800,000 in 3 months. We'll call it $1 million. So that's the other offshoot of that. Now, let's go back to 2017. I was calling in growth, and I don't remember exactly whether it was like going from $1 million in the year to the $1.5 million. I don't remember exactly when that happened, but I knew that I was ready to grow. So I was thinking that it was going to happen the same way that it kept happening in my business. So like, am I going to land a new lead source? Am I going to what is it going to be? About a year before, there's a guy in my gym, his name's Barry Dyke, and he is a New York Times bestselling author. He writes about his New York Times bestselling book is called The Pirates of Manhattan. And it's basically about the scam that is Wall Street and all the things. So he invited me. He has a radio show called The Economic Warrior. And he invited me into his studio to record an episode on his show about franchising. So we recorded that, and I was like, yeah, no one is ever going to listen to this. So there it sat on his website and never heard anything about it. Okay, so I'm calling in growth and thinking it's going to come through my franchise business. And out of the blue, this gentleman named Jim Oliver finds me and says, I listened to your interview with Barry Dyke on The Economic Warrior, and I would like to meet you. Could we schedule some time to connect? So we scheduled like a 20, 30-minute Zoom that turned into literally a 2-hour first conversation. We had so much synergy. We had so much in common. I enjoyed talking to him. He was the most abundant person I'd ever met. Not to mention the wealthiest person I had ever been up close to, worth probably way more than $50 million. My guess is probably closer to $100 million. And within those 2 hours, I knew that he was the growth I was calling in. I knew that I wanted him to be my mentor. So we became friends after that, and he had me as a guest on his show. And we recorded a course together on franchising that's in his back office, which I literally just got a lead from this week. So like he helps people learn how the rich get wealthy. And that's what he taught me. So through one random radio interview that I did that I thought was for nothing, that a year later produced a call from this man, Jim Oliver, who literally became my up close personal mentor about how to move my money like wealthy people move their money. If you don't know, wealthy people do not save their money in retirement funds to pay tax when taxes are going up. They move their money through businesses, through real estate that create tax shelters, that create more money than you're ever going to get from the stock market or, again, paying taxes at a future date. And I can have this conversation with any of you later. I can personally introduce you to Jim and his team if you're interested in learning what he taught me. So we were up close and personal with each other, very good friends for like 4 years or so. And during that time, I became financially free. So the growth that I was calling in, I thought was through my franchise business. The growth that God brought to me through meeting this mentor was to teach me how to move my money, taking it out of my self-employed pension plan in the stock market where I had no control, and putting it into cash flowing assets that provide monthly and quarterly cash flow into my bank account every single month and every single quarter, and provide tax advantages at the end of the year. And within 4 years of moving my money like that, I had created way more than enough money than I need to live if I'm not running my businesses. And that is the true definition of financial freedom, where you have more passive income coming into your home than it costs you to live. And so that is an epic story in and of itself. Again, and if you would like more information about how I did that, if you would like to personally meet Jim, his company is called Create Tailwind. He has a podcast called Breakaway Wealth. But personally, he would take any call from anybody that was referred by Kim Daly. So if you would like an introduction. So that is another epic story. And now today I'm financially free, which means when I'm having a bad day at work, I just say, Kim, this is all for fun. So don't stress. And that's what you want. That's what you want. That's why the title of the book that I'm writing is called Unemployable by Choice and Financially Free. That's what we want. We want franchising to help us learn to become confident business owners. So our time and freedom could never be bought by another salary. That's unemployable by choice. And then financial freedom is the mindset of moving that money in a certain way that allows you to create cash flow for today that's in excess of what you need, so that working is purely for fun. Because when you show up to your office purely for fun and the pressure is off, let me tell you, you are a magnet to all good things. When you don't need it, trust me, more and more and more comes. This is how the rich get richer, the wealthier get wealthy. They're not working hard. They're working smart, and they're working with the natural laws of the universe. That will take me into setting up a story of when it didn't work. So when I was calling in growth in my business, right, it was always about it starts out as a money, right? Even though it's not about money, that's how we define the success we want, right? By, okay, I used to make 250 and now I want to make 1 million. Now I make 1.5 million. I want to make 2 million in a year, or 1 million in a year. Now I want to make 2 million by doing 1.5 million. So it's like, okay, so we think backwards from the money. And I'm not telling you that's bad. It's good. I think so. I had said, okay, how do I go from 2.5 million a year to 5 million? And let me say this, because I think I've said this to you before, but so the first year that I went from 250 to 1 million, right? I didn't know how. I had no KPIs. Remember, my closing ratios were 1 in 8. I had this big, fat, sloppy mess on the back of my pipeline, right? People were falling out all over the place, but it didn't matter because I just kept stacking the fun of the top of the funnel, and enough was falling out my way. But we know that I made $1,004.28 because by law, that's what I was calling into me. So if I had called in 2 million, I would have made 2 million, because that's the law. So once you understand, this is why I'm telling you, when you're playing with your power in small ways, a parking spot or a cup of coffee or a rainbow, this is inconsequential. But the process to manifest that is exactly the same as it is to manifest 2 million or 10 million or 100 million. The only thing that makes it different is the stories that we tell and the state inside of us that is attached to $100 million must be really hard to make. Versus, I could manifest a parking spot today. But imagine if you could have that same light, playful energy for $100 million as you could for a parking spot. Now, you would have to create the vessel in which that 100 million to flow through, right? Because it needs a place to flow, unless you're going to play the lottery. And that may take some time. But the reality is the manifestation is instant. Okay, so I was calling in $5 million and I still have it. Over there, I have another desk in in front of me, I have $5 million in annual income. And I have been calling this $5 million in probably since, I don't know, 2019, 2020. And the money never came. So here's what I realized. Oh, I didn't finish my other story. Sorry. So I never grew. So that first year in 2011, I grew by 350% when I didn't know how. Once I knew how, right, and I could reverse engineer all my outcomes, the B type goal, the working back from an earnings claim, okay, I have, doing the logical work. I've never grown by 350% ever again. So when I didn't know how, I surrendered control. I grew by 350 freaking percent. When I called in double and doubled it even again, I could do that. I could do it logically. And I did it because I was still working by law, but I was working also with a little bit of logic and a little bit of control, because that's what us and our humanness, that's what we like. Okay. So I'm calling in this $5 million and I'm like, why am I not able to get to $5 million? Okay. So there's two reasons. One thing I've realized about myself is that I'm not money motivated. So I manifested $300,000 in a month because I knew that it would help people. I could give it away. I gave it all away. I didn't even keep it. Like, I like money. I love money. It's comfortable. It makes life good. It makes you have peace and ease. And you can do fun things with your kids and for your family, and all do fun things for the community and all those things. And I do all of that. But money in and of itself, it's just energy, and it doesn't satisfy me. So I think there's two reasons why I've never manifested, or life is not over. It's still coming, and it is going to come. And I think it's going to come in 2026. It's because, one, I was making enough money. And you can't, I was making enough money at 2 million, 2.5, like, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I'm paying my bills and then some, and moving the money into all these other investments, and I'm doing all the things I want to do. So you can't pour new wine in old wineskins. That's what it says in the Bible. What does that mean? You can't be the same person you are making 2.5 million if you're calling in 5 million. And that's what I was trying to do. And this is what I see happen in all of my consultations. When I ask candidates, well, how much money did you make in your corporate job? And they're like, oh, 150, 200. I'm like, okay, well, what are your goals in your business? I want to build a $5 million business. And I think to myself, you can't do it, because that's violating the law. You have to be reborn inside yourself, meaning you have to redefine your identity, or that money will not come. The money that comes to you is the money that you attract from the state of being that's inside of you. Money is energy, and we will talk about this in another class. So I was trying to act and move and live from the girl who could make $2.5 million a year, but I was calling in 5 million. It doesn't work. I'm not in resonance with 5 million. I'm in resonance with 2 to 2.5 million. So let that sink in. So if you've been an earner in corporate America for a certain amount of years, you were told 40 hours a week equals a paycheck of X. You have to do the thinking work to create a new identity. Who is the you that is not tied to 40 hours a week, that earns double or triple or whatever it is you're trying to call in? Because if you try to remain the person you were, by law, the only thing you can call in is a 40-hour work week making whatever that salary was, even when you're self-employed. It's crazy to hear this, but it's truth. You have to do the thinking work of creating a new identity. So I didn't do that. I was trying to be the same me with the same business, just magically thinking that more money would arrive. But that didn't happen. So that's one reason. The other reason I think it didn't happen is the business that I have has a physical cap to it. I think I've maximized it. Unless I'm willing to hire people to work with me, or there can be more hours in a day. So consulting is very one to one, and you may have this in your business. You may not. You may have the leverage of a team of people that you could just keep hiring another salesperson and hire, and you could go from a million. And then with each new salesperson, you give them $1 million P&L and you teach them how to do it. And then you leverage your time. And I can teach you how to do that. If you want to go from 1 million to 5 million by hiring 4 more people, you take on a million and they each take on a million. You can do that. I don't have that opportunity. And the company that I'm a part of doesn't allow us to share our intellectual property with people that are not consultants with brand choice for good reason, right? They don't want us to quit working for me with all my intellectual knowledge and then go do what I'm doing without the franchise, right? So my business has a physical cap. So again, I was comfortable. I was calling in growth, but I wasn't really willing to move. Now, I felt the urge to move into coaching, which has a bigger funnel, one to many instead of one to one, about 3 years ago. But calling in 5 million was too comfortable. Like I went through all the gyrations like you probably did when you had a good job in corporate America and your family and friends were like, why are you going to walk away from that to go chase some silly dream? Like, that's crazy. These are the conversations I had with myself. I pushed the idea down. No, I have the dream business. I have the business that everybody around me wants. I make more money than anybody in my day-to-day life ever could make. Why would I need more? Why do I need to? But I didn't need the money. I needed the personal growth. I was comfortable in the identity of being a $2 million franchise consultant, calling in $5 million and saying, where is it year over year over year, but not willing to redefine the identity. Because as soon as I sat with myself and redefined the identity, which was about 3 years ago, I saw the inspired idea. And the inspired idea was, oh, you need a bigger funnel. You need the ability to funnel more money through a business. The vehicle that I'm in, I've outgrown. You may find that, and if you bought multiple territories, that may be the protection you need to keep growing. Or you may realize what I'm doing, I've maxed, and now I've got to go buy a different franchise or add more territory. I think those are the reasons the 5 million never came. Because I was certainly being abundant and positive and all the things I am, right? But you can't remain the same and call in something new. So I had to disrupt my life by taking a sabbatical last year, and I knew it. I was very aware. Once I committed myself to, okay, I really want this growth, because here's the sad part. Once you call in growth, you can't go back to the old you and be happy with yourself anymore. Like I know when people start exploring franchises and then they, make the decision to go stay in their job or go take another job, I know they're coming back. Because once you call in the next level you can't be happy. You will shove it down. I did. I'm not judging. I did it too. This has been the most epic year of my whole freaking life. It has not been easy. I have worked so many hours this year, like way more. There have been moments when I thought, dear Lord, if I could just go back to making $2 million, being a happy little consultant and get my weekends back. I have thought that, but I would not trade 2025 for all the money in the world. I have worked so hard. I've created something so amazing. I built a foundation to a skyscraper. But most importantly, I fed that growth. The money will come because it's not about the money. It's about this growth that I know I was ready for. And that's what I want to awaken in you. That's what you want. You want the growth. The money is just the physical manifestation of the growth that happens inside of you. I got myself uncomfortable. I created a bigger top of the funnel, if you will, through a coaching model. And this business has the potential to help so many more people than I could ever help one-to-one as a franchise consultant. So everybody gets to benefit. But that's how the universe always works. If I was the only one benefiting, the money would not flow to me. You have to benefit others because we reap what we sow. You sow first and then you reap. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. So give that one some thought. When you're calling in something and it's not coming, you've got to get still. You've got to stop the noise in your head, remove the filters, and really ask yourself, why hasn't it come? And as soon as you're still enough, you will know the answer with such clarity. You don't need a mentor. You don't need to talk to anybody. You just need to stop the voices in your head and listen. And I should say, when you have these epic growth goals, don't go tell anybody, like maybe your spouse. But it's going to be the same as when you were changing your life by investing in a franchise and there were people that you just knew you can't tell this to until after you've done it. And Jesus, when Jesus healed people in the Bible over and over, it says he told them, go and tell no one. Why did he do that? Because he knew that our words hold such creative power that in speaking, we would say things like, you won't believe what happened to me. And now we've created wobble where there was no wobble because I knew that I was healed. And then when other people react to us with their own unbelief or their own doubt, it causes even more wobble. You know, I tell my candidates, when you have a dream inside of you and it's fragile, you don't need anybody else to talk you out of that dream. You can open your eyes at 2 a.m. I have videos, right? You probably see me do this in a video or two. And you can talk yourself down from that dream all night long. You do not need anybody else to talk you out of it. So, but you do need the right people, a community in the Z suite to hold you to it. Because this is where you can literally be, do, or have anything right here. It's really anywhere. But you need to be surrounded by a community of believers. But even in a community of believers, I want you to keep your biggest manifestation goals to yourself. Because it's like, I was listening to a video that said something like, when you have a dream, a desire inside of you, it's like a pressure cooker, right? So the dream is inside of you with all of the pressure, and the pressure is what's cooking it, right? The coal becomes a diamond under pressure. But if you let that steam escape even a little bit, you diminish the power. That's what you're doing when you speak about what you're trying to do. So do it in secret. Go and tell no one because the world will see when you achieved it all. And when it's done, then you can talk about it. And by the way, one thing I meant to say up front is all of these stories, like it's fun to talk about them right in hindsight, but when I was living them, I didn't know they would work out. I didn't know I would make $1,004.28. I didn't know I could earn $300,000 in a month to give it all away. And I did give it all away because I paid tax. The other 50 that I didn't give to the church, I paid tax. So I didn't know. Like it sounds good now, but remember, you don't know the how. I didn't know when I was calling in growth, I was going to meet this Jim Oliver guy, and 4 years later, I was going to become financially free. It's only in hindsight that we know how it all works out. Okay, couple more. So let's talk about how I manifested help. So I live in a rural area. I live in near the beach in southern New Hampshire, and we have septic tanks. So I have a leach field, and it was a Saturday night. My family was over for game night, and I had a big platter, and I don't have cabinets big enough to hold platters. So they're all in my basement on shelves. So I'm going down the stairs about 10 o'clock at night after my family had left. My son was in the shower. And just as I'm walking down the stairs, I hear the splatter of water on the floor. So I run upstairs. I'm like, Luke, turn off the shower. There's a leak. So he turns off the shower. So Sunday morning, I call the plumber and I'm like, I need you to come like right away. There's something leaking in my basement. So the plumber comes out early and he's like, hey, I'm sorry to tell you, this isn't from your shower. This is a backup from your leach field. I'm like, ew, that's disgusting. Okay. He's like, you need to call your septic guys. Now, this was in probably 2021. So this is important to note the time on this one because this was post-COVID. Remember when like nobody was working and like All the home service people were like backed up for months, right? Because they didn't have enough help and everybody and their brother was doing home projects when we were home. Important to note that. Okay. So the septic guys come out and they're like, catching all the leach field. And they're like, oh, like, yeah, your leach field is failing. And so it's backing up into your house. I'm like, what does that mean? Now, I had also just given a contractor, I was remodeling my entire first floor. And like the week leading up to this, I had committed to this whole first floor demolished, given the guy like like $100,000 deposit check. So I was out that money, looking forward to putting this money into a whole remodel. And then on Saturday night, this happens. So let's say it's Monday morning and the septic guys are here and they're like, yeah, like we're going to have to tear up this leach field and build you a new one. I'm like, so like, what does that cost? He's like, well, anywhere from, 15 to 30 grand. I'm like, dear Lord, are you kidding me? He's like, yeah, well, while we're trying to figure this out, you can't do any laundry. You can't take long showers. You can't run your dishwasher. You basically can't use any freaking water in your house. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I have teenage boys. They play multiple sports. Like, this is not reality. Okay. So I'm freaking out. Okay. So when you face life events, you have two options: freak out, or from this moment forward, use what you know. So I freaked out for the first day. They gave me, they were like, okay, we're going to put you on our schedule. Now, this was like in October, but he's like, we're not going to be able to get to you until after the holidays, first of the new year. And this is assuming it doesn't snow. I freaking live in southern New Hampshire. Are you kidding me? There's a lot of like ifs in the statement. I'm like, what do you mean? So you're saying for like 3 months, I can't take a shower or use the dishwasher or the laundry? Like, this is not reality. He's like, we're so sorry. Okay, so I'm panicking all over the place. So I turned my meditation chair in my living room to, I have a window that faces where my leach field is. So I decided to get still and to go to God and say, okay, there's got to be a solution here. I literally sat still for like 20 seconds and one man's name came into my head. I got bold. I took action, inspired action on the name. I called Steven, the guy that built our house. We had built a house when I was married. And I said, Steven, this is what happened. I need help. He's like, oh, I don't have a guy that replaces existing ones, but I have a guy that builds new ones. Let's call him. I bet you he knows somebody. Steven makes one call to his friend Ryan. Ryan texts me and says, this is perfect timing for you. My wife is about to deliver our fourth child any day now. I'm literally putting all of my equipment up for the winter. But because were referred by Steven, if you want, I'll come take a look at the project and I might be able to do it for you. He came that same day. Now he's looking at it. He's like, all right, I've never like torn out an existing one. He builds brand new ones in brand new homes. So he's like, I don't even really know how to price this. So he's like, did the other people quote you? And I was like, yeah, well, they gave me like range 15 to 30. I was honest with him. He's like, okay, does $15,000 sound good? So he goes, how quickly can I start the project? I'm like today? He's like, perfect. I'll have everything done for you within 10 days because I need to get this done before my wife delivers that baby. The whole thing was done in less than 2 weeks. I named my price and it was fair. It was on the low end, but he's the one who picked it. He could have picked 20. And when he dug it up, comes to the door and he was like, listen, he's like, you have like a 4-bedroom right now, but you have enough land here for a 6-bedroom. Would you like me to make it bigger? So I went to God for like 20 freaking seconds. I had one inspired name. The whole project was done in less than 2 weeks for way less than what it would have been done for. I got the 30-year one stone and pipe thing. It's better than the rinky-dink one the builder who built this house put in. And now I have a 6-bedroom septic instead of a 4-bedroom. Who came out the winner on that? Every single thing about that was absolutely magical. Go to God when you need help. All right, moving on. So now let's talk about when I was building a pool and I was interviewing contractors and I'm a single girl. And I always feel like I don't know if the women on here feel this way. Like if you don't have a man in your house, I feel like a little bit like they kind of just want to take you for granted. Oh, that was the best thing about Ryan. That guy, he was like, I mean, we still text to this day, and he was the nicest, coolest guy. Like totally, like not like he's like, honest and all the things. So I'm interviewing pool builders, which if you've ever built a pool, you're actually interviewing a landscaper, right? The pool company only puts the cement in the ground, but you need somebody to dig the hole and level the land and then put the land back and do the pavers and all the things. So I reached out on Facebook. I got 3 different companies and I interviewed them all. And I'm like, I don't know who to freaking pick. So I'm like, I don't know. So this is what I did. I went to church when nobody was there and I brought a check for $10,000 and I made a donation and I lit a candle. I'm Catholic. Those of you who are Catholic. I lit a Catholic. You know, in the Catholic Church, they have that with the little rose in front of the Virgin Mary usually, and you light the candle and you make a donation. I didn't put the $10,000 there. I put it in the pastor's mailbox. But I made a donation and I just said a prayer that I would pick the right person who would do right by me, build us a beautiful pool that would just bless our family. And the whole project was gonna be around $100,000, so I tithed 10%. That was how I came up with the 10,000. So not only did I pick the absolute most amazing, like, landscaper ever in the world, like, I had no idea of his reputation then, but since then, I've learned of his amazing reputation, but he literally treats me like his daughter. Like, he ended up doing my entire, like, yard over, and he literally comes by in the summer and hand prunes my roses because he wants Kim Daly's house to be the most special place that he believes it is. Like, I mean, how do I get this lucky? Like, I mean, God brought me the most amazing man. We are great, 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 great friends. He has done epic things for me. He even came back and I had a Honda Pilot and it had a for sale sign on it and it was in my driveway and he stopped in and he rang the doorbell. I'm like, "Orlando, what are you doing here?" And he's like, cuz he wanted to do pavers in my driveway and pavers around like the concrete on the bottom of my house and I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I'm like not that bougie. I don't need all of that." He's like, "One day I'm going to do it for you." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever, Orlando, but no, I'm not spending the money on that." So he sees my Honda Pilot for sale and he's like, "How much for the Pilot?" Because he brings all of it. He's Portuguese. He brings all of his guys from Portugal every summer to come work over here. This Masons and all the people. So he needs like a big vehicle to all these guys to climb in and out of and as they go on their jobs. So I don't know. I was like, I don't know, like 15,000. He's like, I'll make a trade. Let me have the vehicle and I will do your driveway and all of the stonework. So I was like, "Okay, take the car and do the stonework for God's sakes." Like, this man has blessed my life all over the place. You know, those jobs were way more than 15,000. He was giving it to me at the deep, deep family discount. But okay, going back to when we were building the pool. So we were building the pool. I had said, "Okay, there's an area over here." I'm like, "Can you pave it and leave it empty because one day I'm going to get a hot tub." So he's like, "Okay." So I live where Planet Fitness started. Like Planet Fitness World headquarters is literally in my hometown. So all of the gazillionaires the brothers who started Planet Fitness, they own all these glorious homes along the water. So while Orlando was building my pool, he was also building a pool for one of the Rondo boys who started Planet Fitness. So he's over there, and one of them was like, he had a brand new, I don't know what it seats, 8 or 10 people, $15,000 value hot tub that had been used one time. And he says to Orlando, "We want to put the spa in the ground. So can you get rid of that?" This was like the day after I said to Orlando, "Can you clear space for a hot tub that one day eventually I'm going to buy?" So Orlando's like, "Get rid of it? What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, just throw it away. Like, we're going to put it into the ground." So he's like, "Can I give it to somebody?" He's like, "Sure." So Orlando comes over to Camp Daly, says, "Let's go on a little field trip." takes me over to, and I got to meet the Planet Fitness guys who I'd never personally met, which was kind of cool. And I literally made a $10,000 donation. I got the most amazing friend, landscaper, and way more than my money could ever buy from that relationship. Plus a brand new $15,000 hot tub. And I didn't have to pay for that. You cannot outgive God. Go when you need help. Go when you need money. Go no matter what. Do the thinking work first. Don't panic. Don't struggle. Go and be still. Find the inspired idea. Take action on it. And you will be as powerful as these stories have demonstrated to you that I am. So let's close with the last two epic stories from this summer. So my one son had been in 2 car accidents, and if you were working with me this summer, you might have heard the story because I was sharing it. And so he hit a deer. A deer hit him in his 3rd vehicle. Very expensive child. So I called the insurance company and they basically laughed and they were like, if you make this claim, your son's going to get denied insurance. So I'm like, I got to pay. And at the time, he drove a 2021 Audi. So, while the damage wasn't severe, in the front, like driver's side corner, the cameras, the headlight, all those things, you just know, right? And these, luxury cars, it's going to be super expensive. So I go to the auto body guy and he gives me the quote for $8,900. Okay. I lose my shit. This kid's going to college. I'm selling this car. And now I can't use insurance because I've already had to buy him 2 other cars through insurance. And now I got to come up with $8,900. I lost my, for a day. And then I said, okay, I'm going to use what I know. So the auto body was like, come on, book the appointment because we're busy. I said, give me 2 weeks. So I booked the appointment for 2 weeks. I got still. And this time I journaled. And I wrote on a piece of paper, what would I love? And I wrote out exactly what I would love, which is I want Jack's car restored to pristine, brand new condition, and I don't want to have to pay for it. So my other son and I were going college touring. So I left it alone. He and I did our little thing, going to South Carolina and Florida and all the schools. Well, when we came back, it was the day before the car was set to be taken in. When I opened my inbox, the CFO of Franchise had emailed me to tell me that somebody that I had placed into business earlier in the year, in January of this year, had come back and bought an additional territory, and I was going to get paid on that. Now, sometimes we get paid and sometimes we don't. I don't really know how it works. There's no way I would ever know that I was going to get paid on this. And guess how much the additional money was? $8,900. I took the quote, I took my journal entry, and I took the email and I showed my boys and I said, this is what God wants to do for you. Now, the story gets a little better because when I was festering, I called their dad. Sketch, like, you need to help me pay to buy a new car. So when I was like mad, I called and asked for help. So when I came home, Patrick had written a check for $3,500. So I actually made money from Jack's car accident. And oh, by the way, get this. Because there were no cops involved and we didn't use insurance, the auto body dealer let me know, hey, you don't have to ever say this car was in an accident because we've restored it with brand new Audi parts. No one will ever know. So this means you get full value when you trade it in. So this goes into my second story. Last story. So my son and I, my other son, so he's going Jackson College. So we're selling his car because I don't want it sitting in my driveway for a year. But my other son had an older vehicle, 2017. And I knew by this winter, I was going to be putting more money into it. I'm like, Luke, we're going to trade in your car and Jack's car. And we're going to get you a really nice car. So As soon as that car came back from the dealer, Luke was like, or the auto body shop, Luke was like, "Okay, mom, when are we going car shopping?" I'm like, "Luke, I don't know. Like, this was just a few weeks ago. I'm like, I don't know. We have so many things going on." So this was on a Thursday. So Friday morning, I'm coming back from the gym and I'm at a stoplight. And now Luke drives a 2017, like little BMW X3. It's kind of like the small little X3. So I'm sitting at the stoplight and I see this Mercedes 250, kind of like the Mercedes version of what he drives. And I'm like, well, and it's black. I'm like, that's a really cute little car. I'm like, that could be good for Luke. And I drive Mercedes and I bought multiple cars from my Mercedes and I love them. So I say to Luke, let's start the conversation at Mercedes because I saw this little 250. Like, let's just go over there and like see what they'll give us for the trade ins and just start the conversation. So Saturday morning, I don't bring a car because they both drive. We're both bringing both of their vehicles to get inspected for the trade in value. I don't even bring my wallet because I'm not going to buy a car. I'm going to start a conversation about buying a car. When we walk into the showroom, the little 250 black car that I saw at the stoplight that inspired me to say, let's go to Mercedes, is in the middle of the showroom with a red bow on it. So it catches my attention right away. I'm like, why does the car have a red bow on it in the showroom? Because it's going home. Okay, so I'm like, this is weird. So Luke sits in that car and he's 6 feet tall. And the guy's like, you're a little bit too tall for this car, but right here is the 250 sedan version. So Luke sits in the sedan version, and I'm like, Luke, that's a brand new car. We are not buying that car. Get your ass out of that car. He's like, Mom, I love this car. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you do. We're not buying that car. So we go out and we're looking at the used cars in the dealership. So finally, the guy's like, look, what's your budget? So I said to myself, he's probably going to give me 10 for one and 20 for the other. So 30. So I'm like, okay, if I add like 5 to 10, I'm like 40 grand. He's like, okay, well, let's go in and let's look at all of the vehicles on the computer that are under 40 grand. So we go in. Well, that little black 250 sedan that Luke was falling in love with, the brand new car, is on the list for 38. I'm like, why is that car on there? He's like, well, it's a 2024. It was a loaner car. It only has 65 miles on it, but we're selling 2026s, so the value has gone down. So Luke's like, Mom, let's test drive it. Let's test drive it. So I'm like, okay. So I'm starting to feel like I'm probably going to buy the car because, like, if they give me 30, I'm only going to pay 8 grand for a brand new car. So a brand new Mercedes, like, this is like too good to be true. But I didn't come here to buy a car, right? So, like, this isn't like happening, like, it's all happening so fast. So we test drive the car. Long story short, the finance guy comes back and he writes 27 on a piece of paper. And I look at him and he goes, this is what we'll give you for your 2 cars. And I said, okay, now I'm thinking 30, remember? And I'm feeling a little bold because I didn't come here to buy a car. And so there's no pressure. So he looks at me, he's like, what's the matter? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I haven't done any homework. I don't even know what these cars are valued. That could be a totally fair offer. But he's like, well, what were you expecting? So I'm like, 30? He goes, well, what homework do you have to do? And I'm like, I don't know, at least look up the Kelly Blue Book value. So he's like, well, let's do it. So I'm like, why do you want to sell me this car so bad? Is it 11? He's like, no, it has a brand new bumper to bumper warranty, 5-year warranty. This car has never been driven. And he's like, you're literally just in the right place at the right time, asking for the right vehicle. So we pull up the Kelly Blue Book value. It's already less than the 27 he's offering me, but I still hold to my feeling of I want 30. So I said, well, I want 30. So he looks at me with the biggest smile on his face that only a girl can get from a guy. And he's like, so if we give you 30 grand for your 2 cars, will you buy this car today? I gave him my hand and I said, we have a deal. And I literally had to go home to get my wallet to go back and do the deal. So we literally got a brand new Mercedes for a used car price. And for me, I only paid 8 grand cash out of pocket, which feels like it was free because I paid for those other cars long ago with cash. So it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the reason that story worked out the way that it did, because I was unattached to the outcome, because I didn't bring in any logic. There was no time. Manifestation is instant when we go with it. The doors open. So the more you're efforting and you're putting the logic in and you're doing the work, remember, you have free will and you can do that. But you may be hindering the goodness that the universe wants to deliver to you. So, my hope is that these stories will inspire you to tap into your own creative power, to know that I'm not bragging, I'm not saying Kim is special. I want you to know how special you are. Every single thing that I've done, you can do in your business, in your life. So go play with all of the creative power that you've been given and then share all these epic stories back there in school in the Z Suite, because that's why we're here. Sound good? God bless you all. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for joining. This will be live in your classroom within 24 hours if you want to watch it back.